Welcome to Katy Calls BS, the podcast where we cut through the noise in course creation, digital products, and business strategy. I'm Katy Miller, bringing you blunt advice, real action steps, and the occasional F-bomb because building a business is hard and the BS isn't helping. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Katy Calls BS. In the last episode, we talked about the 3 assets every solopreneur needs: the high signal lead magnet, the scalable core offer, and the high ticket one-on-one. Today, we're going to talk about what happens in between them because having 3 good products is not enough if you're the one manually moving people from one to the next. Here's the version of this I see constantly. Someone downloads the freebie, they get a welcome email, maybe a follow-up or 2, then they sit on the list. Occasionally, they might get a newsletter, never quite making the move to buy the core offer. The business owner is somewhere in the background manually checking, you know you've done it, wondering why the conversion is not happening. Occasionally, they might send a promo email, fingers crossed, hoping for the best that that person is going to buy finally. That's not a system. And it's definitely too much work. If you are like most business owners, you're going to forget to do that because we don't have time for that. We don't have time to go in and manually move people from one list to another. A real system moves people from a lead magnet to the core offer to the one-on-one without requiring you to manually push them along. It does it while you're doing other things, including during the summer, like being at the pool or going on vacation. Don't get me wrong, automation isn't my favorite thing to deal with. I'm not an expert. We've all had those moments when our automations are on and the wrong thing goes out or something gets sent early because we're human and it'll all be okay. In my years of working with service business owners, some of the biggest issues around automations I hear are losing connections with their audience, sounding robotic, losing the quality of work, and becoming irrelevant because everything is just automated. Your emails are still written from you. You are only scheduling them at a different time. That's it. I hear it all the time from copywriters and in workshops that I've been in, led by copywriters talking about automations. Your emails are written by you. Automations aren't going to change that. The invisible handoff is the automated journey that a lead is going to take from first contact to purchase without a single thing that you have to do. Most people are going to think of this as your email sequence. And a good email sequence is part of that, but the handoff is really logic-based. It's not just a chronological thing. It's not just about sending your emails on a schedule. It is a reaction based on what a person does within your email system. Here's what it kind of looks like. The first trigger is the download. One thing I can't stand is when someone has an instant download and there's 5 other steps to actually get the download. What you want to do is have a trigger. Someone downloads your lead magnet, and this triggers an automated welcome sequence. Not just a confirmation email, but a little series that delivers the freebie, it introduces your thinking, and it naturally brings up the problem that your core offer solves. It's maybe 2 to 3 emails over 5 to 7 days. We're not trying to annoy people because you know those emails too, where you're like, oh my gosh, calm down. I just downloaded your freebie. Each one is going to build on the last in this sequence. The final one is going to make them a nice, gentle invitation to your core offer. Nothing forceful, just, hey, here's my core offer. I'd love to have you. The tools that are most common for business owners are Kit, which used to be ConvertKit, and ActiveCampaign. I know a lot of people use Flowdesk also. It just really depends on how complicated you want to get. Some of them don't have a lot of automations, just really depends on what you want to use. You don't really need a complex setup for this. That's the thing. You don't need to get super techy. I will say I've used the free version of pretty much every email system out there because I have set up the system for a lot of clients. You just need a sequence that's written for your ideal client who just downloaded your lead magnet. That's it. Not some generic welcome series that could have come from anyone. It has to come from you to your people. Okay, that's it. The second trigger is going to be your purchase. Someone buys the core offer. This is going to trigger a different sequence, an onboarding series that sets expectations, delivers the product clearly, and begins building the case for your one-on-one. Because here's the thing, guys, when anybody gets something from you and they are getting an email series from you, it needs to lead to something else. Why are they getting anything from you? Everything that you have in your ecosystem needs to lead to something else. I've talked about that on literally every show. It's not an aggressive thing. It's not an immediate buy now, but the seed has to be planted. By the time they are finishing the core offer, they already understand what the next step is. This is where most people just stop. The welcome sequence exists, the purchase confirmation happens, but then there's nothing after that. That gap is leaving significant revenue on the table. The third trigger is the behavior signal. This is the more sophisticated layer. When someone takes a specific action, like clicks a link or watches a certain percentage of a video, maybe they open a specific email a few times because they're taking a look multiple times, that behavior signals intent. A system that is paying attention can respond to that intent with a targeted follow-up, a personal feeling message that arrives at exactly the right moment because the system noticed something the person did. You don't need to build all this today. You don't need to build all this like the first day you open your email or the first day you start your business, but you should know that it exists and you need to work towards it. You also don't need to do it all yourself because there are a lot of people who are experts in this and they can do it for you. There are a lot of great people who work in systems who can build all this for you. Because when your system responds to that behavior rather than just the time, the conversion rates can change significantly. Here's the thing that I hear a lot about automation. Done wrong, it can make your business feel a lot like a vending machine, which is not what we're trying to do. The person on the other end, we've been on that end. We've been on the end where it feels like there's not a human, and that's not what we're trying to do. In a market where trust is currency, that feeling kills conversions. But done right, automation feels like attentiveness, like someone has been paying attention to where we are and showing up with exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment. You know, when you're shopping online and you've added things to your cart, but then you go away, then you get an email that's like, hey, you left something behind. I know I did. I did that on purpose. It triggers something. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. That's all that we're trying to do as business owners. It's all this is trying to do. It's the, hey, I noticed that you were clicking on this video, or you clicked on this email a few times. I'm just coming back to remind you. Well, why can big box stores do that? Or why can all these stores do that, but we can't as small business owners? It's all in where you let the personalization come in. There are places where the system should run without you, and there are places where you need to be present. The system should run without you in the delivery of the lead magnet, the welcome sequence, the purchase confirmation, and onboarding, the follow-up after a product is completed, the re-engagement email to someone who suddenly went quiet. These are logistical touch points. They should be automated, obviously in your warm tone, warm and friendly, and written once. All of this can be done by you or a good copywriter or an email tech expert can help you, and I have names for all of those people. The places where you need to be present. Any conversation that requires your judgment. A prospective client who has specific questions about whether the one-on-one offer is right for their situation. A buyer who has hit an obstacle in the core offer and needs a human response. A referral relationship that needs actual relationship maintenance. The way to protect your presence for these moments is to build filters into the system. Your contact form should ask qualifying questions before routing an inquiry to you. Your support email should have an auto response that handles the most common questions and only escalates the ones that genuinely require you. Your calendar and I cannot emphasize this enough, should be gated by a step that filters discovery calls if you do discovery calls. We don't need to be booking calls for your time just willy-nilly all the time. Smart filtering is not about being inaccessible to people. It's about making sure that when you are present, it's for the interactions that actually need you, which means you can afford to be present in those moments, not less. It makes it worth your time and theirs. One more piece that's worth building in the early stages is the feedback loop. Every automated touch point should be trackable. Open rates, click rates, most email systems are going to have this. Drop-off points in the sequence where people stop engaging, where they convert. The data that you have is going to tell you where the system is working and where you're losing people. That's how the system is going to get better without requiring more of you. So what should you build first? If you're starting from scratch and you have a really manual system, most of us that have been doing this for a while probably don't. But if you have a super manual system right now, the order is going to go like this. First, you need to write a lead magnet welcome sequence. 3 to 4 emails, maybe. You could probably get away with 2 to 3. Email 1 is going to deliver the resource and introduce you. It has to deliver the resource. Please don't have 14 emails just to get the download. Email 2 deepens the thinking from the lead magnet. Email 3 addresses the problem the core offer solves. Email 4 makes the invitation to your core offer. These are written in your voice, like you're talking to a normal person. They are not formal. Make them feel like they came from a real human because they did. Set them up in whatever email platform you use. It just makes it easier. You can set the schedule that way. If you already have all of this and you haven't updated it in a while, it might be time to go in and check those links, update the emails with new information, and do a little refresh. If you want help mapping where these sequences should live inside your specific product ecosystem, what triggers make sense, where the gaps are, what to build first, that's what the digital product infrastructure does. The link is in the show bio. The goal is not a business that runs entirely without you. It never is, because that does not exist, and it is not what you're building. The goal is a business with enough automation in the right places that you can be fully present when it matters for the high-value conversations, the client work, the things that actually need you, without also having to manually manage every touch point in between, because that sounds like too much. That is a business that can function while you're at the pool, on vacation, at a school play, or wherever you want to be, maybe while you take a week off without your laptop open the whole time. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens one sequence at a time. In the next episode of this series, we're going to talk about how to measure whether this is working. And the one metric that matters more than any other for a solopreneur building this kind of business. Have a great week. I'll see you next time. If this episode hit home, your next step isn't to build anything. It's to audit what you already have. I offer a paid infrastructure audit where I review your current offers, delivery load, and where your business is relying too heavily on you. You'll get a clear decision doc and a Loom walkthrough outlining what actually makes sense next. The link is in the show notes.